John, an adept astronaut, is chosen to lead humanity's first mission to an alien planet. Upon arrival, he discovers a civilization facing extinction and holds the key to their survival. As political tensions rise back on Earth, John must navigate complex allegiances and moral dilemmas. How far would you go to save an alien race at the expense of your own values? If you want to dive into real stories of parallel realities every day, in enigmatic, technological worlds that are completely different from our planet, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Well, let's go. In the boundless expanse of space, the interstellar vessel, Horizon, glided through the cosmos with purpose. Its sleek silver exterior shimmered against the backdrop of distant stars, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and relentless ambition. As it made its final approach, the jewel-like planet of Nova Prime emerged from the cosmic veil, vibrant and alive with swirling clouds and lush landscapes. Towering spires of crystalline structures dotted the surface, reflecting the sun's rays in a dazzling array of colors, encapsulating the promise of what lay ahead. Aboard the Horizon, emissary Rick Johnson stood at the observation deck, a place that offered a panoramic view of the intricate planet below. His dark hair framed a face weary from the burdens carried on broad shoulders, a visage marked by determination and the weight of future generations. He wore a crisp diplomatic uniform, symbolizing his role not just as a representative of humanity, but as a beacon of hope. His heart thudded heavily in his chest, synchronized with the rhythmic hum of the ship's engines, as he prepared for a mission that could alter the fate of not just Earth, but both civilizations. The docking sequence chimed, reverberating through the vessel like a heartbeat, steady yet fraught with tension. As the ship eased into its berth, the stark contrast of metal against the organic elegance of Nova Prime's architecture came into view. His team waited nervously, each member essential to the success of this diplomatic endeavor. Among them was Dr. Maya Patel, a renowned xenobiologist with bright, inquisitive eyes that glimmered with the thrill of exploration. Her olive skin glistened, showing the faintest signs of weariness, yet her spirit was unyielding, fueling her curiosity about the Novians. Then there was Captain Sarah Chen, a seasoned leader with jet black hair tied back firmly, her demeanor exuding a calm authority that steadied the team's resolve. She was dressed in form-fitting tactical gear that hinted at her combat readiness should the situation turn hostile. Her past experiences on the front lines had equipped her with an instinct for danger, and her unwavering loyalty to her crew was palpable. As they disembarked, Rick's chest tightened at the sight of Zara, the poised head of interspecies relations. Her regal stance was accentuated by iridescent skin that shifted hues subtly with her emotions, a trait of her Novian lineage. Accompanied by Consul Arya, a striking figure with long, flowing silver hair that framed a face of ethereal beauty and sharp features, the two women greeted the human delegation. Arya carried an aura of both authority and enigmatic allure. Her piercing blue eyes seemed to hold centuries of wisdom yet also mirrored the storm of emotions brewing beneath the surface. The atmosphere was electric as they exchanged pleasantries. Despite the veneer of civility, an underlying tension crackled in the air. The Novians possessed an ancient civilization, rich with cultural traditions and advanced technology that dwarfed humanity's accomplishments. Rick understood that today's meeting was not merely a formality, it was the stepping stone towards a delicate alliance, a fragile bridge spanning two worlds filled with their own histories, fears, and aspirations. As Zara led the group through the vibrant streets of Nova Prime's capital, the team was awash in a kaleidoscope of sensations. The architecture was an intricate blend of organic and synthetic. Monumental structures that spiraled towards the sky existed in harmonious union with lush greenery and bioluminescent flora. The workforce was a tapestry of Novians engaged in various tasks, their movements fluid, betraying a culture steeped in art and craftsmanship. Dr. Patel paused momentarily, captivated by a vendor displaying glimmering encapsulated orbs that pulsated with a soft light, each representing a different Novian legacy. She leaned slightly closer, an insatiable curiosity magnetizing her attention as she wondered how these orbs contained such rich histories in their luminous forms. She could almost hear the tales they had to tell, stories of a past intertwined with the stars. Their arrival at the Grand Negotiation Hall marked the culmination of months of preparation, each member of the delegation so painfully aware that the stakes could not be higher. The hall was vast and awe-inspiring, adorned with tapestries that depicted the Novians' resilience and triumph over adversity. Its walls shimmered with holographic projections of their cultural celebrations, mesmerizing those who gazed upon them. As they gathered around the massive table, Rick's gaze fell upon the flickering lights that danced overhead, underscoring the gravity of what they were about to undertake. The negotiations commenced, each side presenting their protocols and aspirations. Rick fought to maintain a composed demeanor, his every word weighed with the significance of generations uniting or clashing. The Novians listened intently, but a flicker of skepticism burned in their expressions, evident in the cautious glances shared among the council members. A turning point arrived during the discussion of technological cooperation. Rick passionately advocated for a mutual sharing of knowledge, highlighting advancements in energy resource management that could alleviate the burdens both civilizations faced. His voice rang with conviction, igniting a spark of interest within the Novian ranks, particularly in Arya, whose contemplation deepened with each revelation. Then came the pivotal moment, a handshake that transcended mere diplomacy. As Rick extended his hand towards Arya, a bond was forged in that instant, sealing their intent to collaborate. Yet, as their palms connected, a shockwave rippled through the chamber. The air grew heavy with an ancient energy, unknown and unfathomable, intertwining their destinies in unforeseen ways. Time seemed to pause for a heartbeat, a silence profound and suffocating enveloping the room. Then chaos erupted. Alarms blared, filling the air with a harrowing shriek as the Novian council members recoiled in horror. Arya staggered back, clutching her abdomen, confusion and fear flickering across her face. Rick, unsure of what had transpired, felt an instinctual urge to rush toward her, but was quickly restrained as guards moved to encircle them. The reality of the situation began to unravel as scientists in the council chambers recognized the signs. The ancient nanite technology dormant within Novian genetics had been activated, a phenomenon triggered by the intersection of their biological essences. Arya's eyes widened, realization mixing with dread, as she stumbled backward, confusion morphing into instinctive protectiveness. The Novian race, steeped in a culture that revered purity and lineage, could not fathom the implications of what lay ahead. Fury ignited among the council members as they perceived Rick's connection to Arya as a manipulation, a breach of their sacred fabric. Their whispers turned into raging outcries, xenophobia rising like a torrent. They deemed the human delegation a danger not only to their civilization but to the very essence of who they were. Captain Sarah Chen's voice rang out above the discord, her authority unyielding as she sought to regain control. But it was evident that fear had permeated the council, and the hostility grew uncontrollable. Rick, caught in a maw. The heart of Nova Prime throbbed with tensions that lay thick in the air like the heavy clouds of a storm. Emissary Rick Johnson stood at the head of the grand negotiation table inside the council chambers, the walls adorned with intricate pictographs telling the tales of the Novian race's legendary past. The air was electric, laced with both anticipation and apprehension, as the monumental ramifications of the day's negotiations hung in the balance. And then it happened. A seemingly innocuous handshake between Rick and Consul Arya set off a chain reaction, sparking panic across the room. As the contact lingered, a flash of iridescent light emanated from their joined hands, revealing that the Novians were much more than they appeared. The ancient nanites woven into their genetic makeup surged forth, catalyzing an unforeseen biological event. Rick watched, horror-stricken, as the color drained from Arya's face. Her expression transformed from professionalism to alarm. Every eye in the chamber turned to her, and then to the human delegation as though they were the architects of this chaos. Alarm bells resonated, echoing through the circular chamber, drowning out the horrified murmurs that clamored for explanations. The scale of the misunderstanding soon escalated beyond anything Rick had anticipated. The Novians, with their pride intertwined with millennia of ancestry, could not bear the thought of a foreign influence altering their sacred genetic code. An immediate lockdown ensued. Guards, towering figures adorned with obsidian armor reflecting the molten hues of Nova Prime's sun, confined Rick and his team to a sterile holding room, a stark contrast to the ornate grandeur they had just encountered. In that room, the light seemed cold, and the panic was palpable. Rick, along with Captain Sarah Chen and Dr. Maya Patel, exchanged glances, their minds racing as they processed the implications of their predicament. "Do you understand what this could mean?" Sarah's voice barely rose above a whisper, her eyes darting toward the door, as if escape could be accomplished through sheer willpower. "They think we've somehow compromised them, that we're a threat. We need to find out more about the nanites," Maya interjected, her scientific curiosity piqued amid the rising tension. "This could redefine our understanding of genetic manipulation and its applications across species." Rick felt the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders. He was entrusted with the hope of humanity's future. The moment required him to be more than a negotiator. But the hostility directed toward them was overwhelming. He could see the shadows behind the eyes of the Novians in power. Their ancient legacy now straining against the tide of change, they faced the looming specter of xenophobia rising like an Arctic blast. Outside the sterile confines of their prison, the tide of opinion among the Novians began to shift from concern to rage. Rick could only imagine the clandestine discussions taking place at the upper echelons of power. A faction began to rally behind the idea that the human delegation had come not as allies but as invaders. Diplomacy teetered on the brink, as whispers of war grew louder through the channel networks. Days passed inside their sequestered refuge, stretching into an agonizing limbo as Rick and his crew scoured the available information, working with Dr. Maya Patel to grasp the nuances of the nanite technology that had spiraled events into chaos. They learned of the Novians' rich history intertwined with genetic manipulation, where nanites had once been used to heighten senses and provide enhancements unrivaled across the galaxy. But the implications of that technology, having inadvertently brought life and perhaps a future into being by joining a human and a Novian, became equally thrilling and horrifying. Every data point analyzed bore witness to an ancient truth: the Novians revered purity. Each aspect of their culture prized a homogeneous lineage, their existence protected by the very essence of their civilization. It roused unrelenting ethical debates within the walls of their minds. Could they understand the union of their species as anything other than an abomination? Or could they persuade that the impending child would manifest not as a threat, but as a bridge between worlds? Rick stood firm against the tapestry of fear and misunderstanding that wove through both races. Yet, the clock was ticking. Admiral Hawthorne's calming voice, once an anchor of purpose, now churned like a tempest of worry from the command ship orbiting Nova Prime. Time slipped away like sand through fingers. The Novians were mobilizing, their ships poised in formation, cloaked in shimmering energy fields, a looming tempest in the cosmic sea. Meanwhile, Sarah's instincts flared. The weight of their situation pressed upon her, matching the protective instincts of a starship captain. "We need to confront them," she urged. "We need to communicate what this could mean for both species. This isn't just about us anymore, it's about a future we could build." But the rising tide of fear was contagious, and Rick's heart sank deeper with every day that felt closer to a war they had dared to prevent. Tensions brewed like an explosive cocktail, with the Novians consumed by the fervent belief that they were merely defending against an encroaching darkness. As days turned into weeks, and their confinement spread like a prison throughout time, Rick felt his determination waning under the burden of isolation. He witnessed Sarah's resolve strengthen, her passion igniting a fire in the others. The stirrings of rebellion against their situation brewed, but he knew the stakes. Would their words merely fuel the inferno of hatred, or might they suggest a path towards understanding? In the confines of provisioned solitude, Rick and Arya communicated through encrypted channels, clandestine whispers that transcended their physical separation. Their exchanges became a delicate dance of fears and desires, unraveling layers of complexity as they shared visions for the future of their child. Arya's perspective carried relentless conviction. She viewed the overwhelming storm of conflict not merely as a threat, but as an opportunity, a chance for her people to evolve in an unforgiving universe. Yet the walls would not bend easily, and as high-ranking Novian elders convened aloof from the tumult beneath them, Rick knew that their resolve was about to be tested by the very forces of fate. The corridors echoed with rigid footsteps, growing closer, enclosing the tiny pocket of humanity among the looming shadows. Time became an enemy. As the final meeting loomed, with both camps poised to declare their intentions, the pull of gravity weighed heavily on Rick's chest. The air itself transformed into a stranglehold on their shared aspirations. Would this moment herald a new beginning or a cataclysmic end? And then, as the delegates assembled for what could be the final moment of unity or descent into chaos, a gust of urgency swept through. An unexpected visitor surged into the fray, a warp of energy illuminating the otherwise dim corridor, a messenger shrouded in pulsating light, emanating both dread and hope. A living embodiment of the unknown, veiled in secrets, they delivered a bold. The isolation room grew quieter each passing hour, a silence stained with the weight of interstellar dread. Rick Johnson, typically a beacon of human resilience, found himself confined in the sterile room alongside Arya. The room's cold luminescence cast somber shadows across their faces, highlighting the tension etching deeper lines into their expressions. Despite the volatile situation, both understood the gravity of their unique circumstance. Arya, whose ethereal presence contrasted starkly with her coiled strength, was a sight to reckon with. Her pronounced empathy, a trait rarely seen outside Novian tales, mingled with a disciplined aura of leadership. The crystal blue glow of her eyes softened as she glanced at Rick, her mind awash with the revelations of their unborn child. "I can feel it," Arya said, her voice barely above a whisper, but tinged with the weight of universes. "The child is communicating already." She hesitated, the words hanging in the vacuum like particles undisturbed. I feel emotions, thoughts, interchanging between us." Rick stared back grimly. In his lifetime of diplomatic missions, never had he encountered such an enigmatic brush with the unknown. His rugged features softened momentarily as he reflected on the whispers of emotions he himself felt through the child's telepathy. Emotions untainted by the heavy legacy of their species. Outside the proscribed confines of their sanctum, the murmurs of war grew louder, reverberating like a battleship's thrumming engines through the corridors of Nova Prime. The Novians' reactions ranged from outright hysteria to rigid reaffirmations of their superiority. The unexpected pregnancy had stirred the deepest recesses of their genetic and cultural psyche. This, they claimed, was an affront to their prolonged purity, a purity safeguarded for millennia. Rick's team was meanwhile relegated to intense scrutiny, their every movement meticulously documented by Novian guards who watched through observation windows, ensuring they posed no further threat. Dr. Maya Patel, whose scientific curiosity was only surpassed by her intellect, began poring over the medical scans and genetic codes in desperate search for understanding. "We need to decode the function of these nanites fully," Maya voiced out during one of their covert strategy sessions. Her eyes, usually filled with scientific curiosity, were now laden with a mix of urgency and desperation. It's possible that understanding their ancient programming could provide an avenue to diplomacy. Captain Sarah Chen, whose physical demeanor reflected her steely resolve, nodded affirmatively. "Every moment counts. Communication is key, or we'll find ourselves on opposite ends of an interstellar conflict." While the humans wrestled with the science and politics, the Novian leaders grappled with internal turmoil. The supreme head of the Novian Council, High Counselor Zen, known for his unwavering adherence to tradition and protocol, found himself at odds with the younger, more progressive members of his council. Arya, it seemed, had dwindling support among her own kin. Meanwhile, Arya's empathetic disposition allowed her to perceive the disjointed threads of unity fraying within her species. Her own internal battle mirrored the escalating threat of war. As she conversed with Rick, sharing their innermost hopes and fears, the nascent telepathic bridge forged between them and their unborn child began to widen, fostering an unparalleled intimacy. The emotions, raw and primal, penetrated not only their hearts but also cascaded through the fabric of their respective societies. Across Nova Prime, whispers spread that the hybrid child, a fusion of human determination and Novian precision, could be the harbinger of a new era or the catalyst of their doom. As days passed, Rick and Arya's dialogues deepened, exploring the nooks and crannies of their respective cultures. Rick shared tales of Earth's triumphs and failings, stories interwoven with humanity's perseverance amidst insurmountable odds. Arya countered with myths and histories of the Novians, describing the harmonic resonance they maintained with nature until the dawn of their technological age. These conversations illuminated profound similarities. Rick found himself marveling at the Novian approach to balance, ecology, and societal roles, concepts seemingly alien but resonant with Earth's own philosophical explorations over the centuries. Arya, in turn, admired the human spirit's indomitable will to explore, adapt, and innovate. Still, the ice between the two factions melted at a glacial pace. The mistrust seeded by eons of isolationism and superiority was not easily dissolved. Yet, the emotional telepathy blossoming via their unborn child hinted at an unprecedented bridge, each transmission a torrent of unspoken, unvarnished truth. The unborn child, referred to now as the Anteros child by some factions, projected streams of emotions that were absorbing layers of discord and purging them with raw, unfiltered feelings of unity. Admiral Hawthorne, aboard the orbiting human fleet, experienced flickers of this emotional touch, his hardened demeanor briefly softening. He paced tirelessly aboard the flagship Athena, amidst a barrage of tactical preparations, murmuring to himself, "Can empathy truly bridge this chasm?" His readiness for either war or diplomacy caused ripples of unease among his subordinates. On the other side, High Counselor Zen stood at a precipice of internal revolt. Although a figurehead of tradition, he harbored a deep-seated fear. What would be the cost should emotion and reason yield? As Arya's labor pains unexpectedly began, The echoing timbres of maternal agony combined with the unborn hybrid's amplified telepathic projections unraveled final shreds of doubt. The Novian Council, swayed by the visceral, unguarded transmissions from the Anteros child, disrupted their deliberative protocols. The emotional surge invaded their minds like a wildfire of connection and vulnerability they had yet to define. In a moment of collective epiphany, the human and Novian leaders, swathed in emotional waves of love, fear, hope, and pain, glimpsed the raw reality of unity, a stark antithesis to the cold logic of war. This ephemeral, kaleidoscopic vision suspended the impending militaristic actions. However, the lure of diplomacy entailed navigating a labyrinthine path fraught with ancient prejudices and logistical barriers. The shared moment was fleeting, with many Novians rallying for an immediate return to their isolationist ways. Rick, within the confines of the isolation room, held Arya's hand through waves of agony as labor intensified, the bio-enhanced walls echoing her cries of both intense anticipation and trepidation. He marveled at the sheer emotional capacity enclosed within his partner's being, a capacity that resonated with and surpassed his own human understanding. Their combined journey, veiled in uncertainty and fraught with peril, stood as a testament to the possibilities and risks of merging distant worlds. The hybrid child's unwavering projections of emotional clarity, amidst the darkness of doubt and aggression, kept the flickering. In the sterile confines of the Novian Council's inner chamber, the air crackled with an intensity that transcended mere tension. Emissary Rick Johnson and head consul Arya, who had inadvertently sparked this precarious chain of events, found themselves trapped in a maelstrom of emotions and impending catastrophe. The resounding clash of ideologies echoed as the Novians' traditional values battled against the looming specter of the unknown that Rick's presence conjured in their midst. Arya's expressions vacillated between divine joy and paralyzing fear as the contractions began without warning. The child they had created, born of a moment mingled with power and potential, was now a living testament to an entangled fate that neither race could fully comprehend. The gestation, invigorated by ancient Novian nanite technology, accelerated in an unpredictable synchronicity, rapidly transforming a contained diplomatic crisis into a potential intergalactic disaster. The Council, a formidable assembly of towering figures adorned in resplendent silks threaded with shimmering cybernetic filaments, bore witness to Arya's distress. High Counselor Zen, with bionic eyes glinting a deep violet, stood at the forefront, his elongated frame exuding a blend of authority and impending calamity. Beside him, Admiral Hawthorne's steely visage reflected the growing dread as he sensed the precariousness of their situation. A single misstep could ignite hostilities that had simmered dangerously since first contact. With Arya's escalating pain marking the unfolding drama, the air thickened with the raw electric essence of fear and uncertainty. The Novian guards, their features both exotic and intimidating, shifted uneasily, their eyes darting between their leader and the human delegation before them. The stark divide between humanity and the Novians loomed larger with every passing moment, the potential for violence palpable. In a desperate bid to ease the spiraling chaos, Rick stepped forward, determined to breach the chasm threatening to engulf them all. He reached out, not with weapons or threats, but with an outpouring of sincerity. "This is our future we're talking about," he implored. The weight of his voice contrasted sharply with the pregnant silence of the chamber, hanging like the hushed breath of the cosmos waiting for resolution. Just as the impending war loomed like a dark cloud over their heads, the child within Arya surged forth in untapped power, releasing a wave of telepathic energy that sent ripples through the assembly. It was an uninvited presentiment, a potent echo of love, dread, and an important yearning for unity that fused their hearts in shared vulnerability. Everything seemed to halt. The frantic pace of Arya's labor, the frantic urgings of guards ready to strike at the slightest provocation, even Hawthorne's inner stirrings of martial necessity. They felt the surge, an unfiltered stream of emotions that transcended spoken communication, bypassing cultural barriers and touching something deeper in each being present in the room. In that transcendent moment, Counselor Zen felt his resolve start to crumble. He had spent countless cycles anchored to traditions, to the sepulchre of his people's aspirations, but now he glimpsed a horizon painted in colors he had either feared or failed to notice. A quiet understanding bloomed amidst his complicated emotions. This child was not merely a symbol of an unusual alliance but a living bridge that could connect diverse worlds and their conflicting narratives. Admiral Hawthorne, for all his military prowess and eloquence, could feel his own heart become unshackled. His dreams of conquest and vigilantism slowly dissipated, replaced by the burgeoning possibility unfolding before them, questioning all he thought he had held sacred. The energy danced across the chamber, binding the human and Novian leaders like intricate threads in a tapestry that symbolized collective existence, highlighting the fragility of their individual hopes. Despite the truth of their differences, a shared complete humanity surged forth. They were tethered to one another by their deepest instincts for survival, love, and belonging. But, as the atmospheric tension escalated, Arya was pulled deeper into her struggle. Each contraction had morphed from the staccato rhythm of labor into something that reverberated like the war drums of old. The involuntary responses of her body signaled more than just the birth of a child. They became representational of culture's pulse that throbbed through the veins of the Novians, ensnared within the fingertips of myth and science, challenging the apathy of generations. The tempestuous energy exploded. All seemed to converge on the moment Arya bore down, releasing the barrier between the known and the unknown, between conflict and resolution. And then, just as the child left the sanctuary of its mother's body, a collective gasp froze the pulse of the universe. With outstretched arms sparkling with lights of bioenergy, the newly birthed hybrid emerged, both alien and human. The blessed mix weaved through accelerated time, interrupting the cycle of suspicion, venom, and profound fear suffocating the council's chambers. The child's shimmering presence pulsated with resonant energy, tiny limbs thrumming with the knowledge of both worlds, illuminating the darkened hearts of fear with undeniable hope. Yet, even amidst this revelatory moment, great uncertainty lingered. The alliances formed under the powerful telepathic connection began to flicker, wavering against the shadow of ancient traditions and century-old prejudices. The Novian Council remained deeply divided, some unable to envision a harmonious future where coexistence could flourish alongside their formidable legacy. Arya, raw and vulnerable, gazed into the eyes of her newborn. The beauty of the child concerned Rick deeply, an embodiment of both promise and conflict, riding an uncertain tide that could shift the balance between their worlds, for better or worse. It was a profound, visceral moment that pulled at the hearts of every being present, yet questions remained unanswered. How would the world respond to this new existence? Would the curious fusion inspire empathy or incite further dread? As the child, a being born not only from flesh but also from the fears and hopes of its lineage, let out a soft coo, the atmosphere shifted once again. The malleable future hung suspended in that room, alive with possibilities but clouded with doubt. Festering questions hung precariously between them, unanswered as the potential for cooperation flirted tantalizingly with discord. The narrow path towards unity had made its presence known, yet the path ahead shimmered with potential chaos, like sparks on the edge of an infinite abyss. The air quaked on the cusp of both revelation and catastrophe, marking not the conclusion of the crisis, but rather a critical juncture pregnant with possibilities. A cliffhanger echoing through the vastness of the cosmos. The hybrid child cried out, believing itself a catalyst for change, igniting the hearts of many, leaving behind a tumult of uncertainty as time marched onward, indifferent to the significance of that moment. The diplomacy of the unknown now danced in the shadow, and fate hung in the balance, unpredictable, taut, and tense. The relentless passage of 5 years had wrought vast transformation upon the universe. Where once the human and Novian races stood at the brink of annihilating conflict, now there was an emergent spirit of unity, echoing the profound changes forged through unprecedented circumstances. At the heart of this evolving universe was Harmony Station, an interstellar nexus of cooperation and understanding. Constructed to serve as a beacon for interspecies collaboration, it orbited the binary star system of Zeta-9 with an angular elegance that spoke of advanced Novian design fused seamlessly with human ingenuity. Intricate architecture, adorned with holographic murals depicting the intertwined histories of both races, captured not just technological marvels, but the shared philosophies and aspirations of two civilizations. In the midst of Harmony Station stood Rick Johnson, Arya, and their daughter Nova, living embodiments of a new era. They no longer bore the burden of their fractious past but instead symbolized a hopeful future. Nova, now a spirited 5-year-old with radiant amethyst eyes gleaming with the wisdom and innocence of her hybrid heritage, had become the cornerstone of the Hybrid Isaacow project. In those intervening years, this project had flourished under the guidance of both human and Novian scientists. Combining the profound knowledge of Novian nanite technology with human adaptability and creativity, the project aimed to foster a deeper integration and mutual advancement. Laboratories buzzed with activity as researchers, inspired by the initial phenomena of Nova's telepathy, sought ways to enhance combined cognitive and technological abilities. As the force leading this initiative, Dr. Maya Patel had grown in renown among both her people and the Novians. Her knowledge and insight became pivotal in decoding the mysteries of the nanites, harnessing them to cure previously incurable ailments and augmenting biological functions in ways previously unimaginable. She had become a bridge, much like Nova, in her own right, creating a symphony of understanding and shared discovery that inevitably drew humanity and Novian kind closer than ever before. Nova's telepathic abilities had matured over time, creating not merely a connection, but a conduit for peace and understanding. Her unique presence on Harmony Station served as a constant reminder of what was possible when fear and division were overshadowed by empathy and collaboration. Her innocent, yet powerful essence had an uncanny ability to diffuse tensions, creating an ambiance of tranquility and cooperation wherever she ventured. One fateful day, during the Harmony Summit, an assemblage of representatives, scientists, leaders, and thinkers from both civilizations, an issue of paramount importance was addressed. The fragmentary opposition pockets still resistant to this new age of unity. Rick's perspective, shaped by his historic journey from conflict to heartfelt collaboration, reflected a wisdom that resonated deeply with all present. Interstellar cooperation, Rick addressed the assembly, his voice steady but imbued with the weight of experienced hardship and burgeoning hope, is not merely about survival but about thriving together. We have seen echoic shadows of our wars and old fears, but we also stand as witnesses to the miracles born from our union. Let us not just seek peace, but actively cultivate it through understanding and shared growth. As he spoke, reflections in the eyes of Consul Arya, now a figure of revered authority and affection, mirrored the unspoken yet palpable sentiments that capered through the room. She, once at the heart of the conflict, now exemplified the vast possibilities their two civilizations could achieve together. Suddenly, an unexpected yet familiar telepathic wave surged gently through the gathering. It was Nova. Without speaking, she conveyed a kaleidoscope of emotions: curiosity, hope, a sincere desire for interconnectedness. Through her, the assembly experienced firsthand the purity and possibility inherent in their hybrid future. Even the most cynical among them were moved, if not transformed. The multitude dispersed from the Harmony Summit filled with renewed vigor and commitment, while Rick, Arya, and Nova shared a contemplative moment at the observation deck, gazing at the stoic beauty of the distant stars. In those celestial bodies lay infinite potential, much like their mission, a journey fraught with peril, yet glamorously transformative. For Rick and Arya, their daughter's journey was a constant reminder of their own tumultuous past and promising future. The woven tapestry of mistrust and burgeoning understanding that had brought them to this point was now the fabric of broader interstellar cooperation. Together, they contemplated the boundless horizon, knowing that their once anomaly of unity had been solidified into a foundation from which future generations could build. Despite the passage of time and the triumphs they had achieved, a latent sense of mystery and awe still pervaded their existence. The vast universe was an expanse teeming with undiscovered wonders and potential adversities. Yet, emboldened by the unshakable spirit of collaboration forged through their hardships, they felt a collective readiness to face whatever came next. Standing on the precipice of this new era was exhilarating and terrifying in equal measure. The true legacy they created wasn't defined merely by diplomatic alliances or shared technological advancements. It resided in the intangible, in the hearts and minds willing to trust, to bridge across infinite divides, and to see beyond the cosmos into the soul of another being. As the observation deck doors slid closed behind them, sealing in the echoes of their quiet reflections, the galaxy outside Harmony Station seemed to shimmer with an almost sentient awareness. Each star, each distant world, was a chapter yet to be written, a story yet to unfold, a universe of uncharted destinies, awaiting its own encounters of harmony and conflict, love and loss. Thus, the epic journey concluded, leaving behind a sense of profound contemplation. It wasn't just a tale of two civilizations, it was an eternal testament to the boundless possibilities born from empathy, understanding, and human, and Novian, spirit. Life's significant lesson. Through unity, empathy, and courage, distinct races, cultures, and worlds can transcend suspicion and conflict, unlocking a future adorned with infinite possibilities for cooperation and mutual growth. In this universe, it's these shared, profound moments that can forever alter the fabric of destiny. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.